Dept Q has just been released on Netflix, and do you know what? This is the type of series that I feel Netflix needed. Set in Scotland, we saw a cold case getting reopened about a missing person called Merritt who hadn't been seen in 4 years. Following DCI Carl Mork as he was investigating it, whilst also recovering from being shot a few months earlier, we saw both cases being looked into and many twists and turns along the way. Within this video, I'll be answering why Merritt was taken, who took her, who fired at Carl in the opening scene, the switch up in identities, and what the ending truly means. So let's get into it. Here is a review of Dept Q and the ending explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Who took Merritt and why was she taken? When it came to who took Merritt, there were a wide array of suspects that we were made to believe that it could have been. As a criminal prosecutor, she'd made many enemies over the years, and Graham Finch, who was the person that we saw in the first episode that she was trying to put behind bars, was one of them. There was also Stephen Byrne, the Lord Advocate, Kirsty Atkins and her family members, who was somebody that she promised to help get out of prison if she testified against Finch, but she was ultimately abandoned by Merritt, which led Kirsty to be attacked. There was her brother William, which was hinted at right at the start, and there was also Sam Haig, a journalist that she was being intimate with. But we were told that he was dead 1 day prior to Merritt going missing, so there were a load of people to guess from. Well, it turned out that the person that was posing as Sam Haig, which was actually Lyle Jennings, was the person that kidnapped Merritt when she got on the boat to go to Moore, the island where she grew up and where her father lived. Lyle Jennings killed the actual Sam Haig, which was somebody that he met inside of Godhaven facility, and they both happened to share extremely similar features. Lyle, who was posing as Sam to Merritt, knew that she'd be getting on the boat that day to go to Moore due to their conversation in the hotel, hence why he was on board. But at the same time, he did also work for the company too, so he had easy access to be able to call for her and then kidnap her and get her off the boat in any way that he wanted. Lyle and his mother, Ailsa Jennings, both blamed Merritt for the death of Harry, Lyle's brother. Harry was somebody that Merritt was dating when she was younger, and he was infatuated with her and was prepared to do anything. Merritt wanted to leave the island following being stuck with her father after her mother left, and she knew that the jewelry that her father kept of hers, if it were to be sold, she'd be able to buy a ticket off of the island and be able to start a new life. So it was Merritt that actually brought that idea to life. So whilst she was out, Harry broke into the house and did the robbery, but William was actually home, and when he interrupted Harry, Lyle came in and ended up beating William to the point where he got brain damage. However, Harry was the one that was blamed for the crime, and whilst he was trying to escape from the police, he ended up dying. So Lyle and his mother actually blamed Merritt for that because she was the one who sparked up the whole plan in the first place. You could sense that feeling of guilt from Merritt in the present day when she was left to her own thoughts, and that was why she was so willing to help her brother throughout his life, because she knew that he wouldn't have those lifelong injuries if it wasn't for her. So none of this was related to a criminal that she'd put behind bars, it was actually about the death of somebody that she wasn't to blame for. The ending explained. When it came to the ending of the episode, we saw that Carl Mork and Co. had come to the realization that it was Lyle that was considered to be the dangerous brother and the one that had mental problems when it came to violence, hence why he was locked up in Godhaven for a period of time. The bird that was on the hat that caused William to lash out and be what he remembered was the emblem of the company that the Jennings father owned called Shorebird Ocean Systems, and that was why Lyle was wearing the cap. With Carl and Akram finding the yard where the containers were kept, they went deeper and ended up finding the hyperbaric chamber where Merritt was being kept prisoner for the past 4 years. As they tried to stop the pressure from increasing and the oxygen from becoming toxic, Lyle crept in through the door, and we saw a mirrored scene to the opening one where Carl ended up getting shot again, was lying on the floor and ended up looking into the eyes of somebody that was gonna kill him. However, Akram used the skills that he had up his sleeve, threw his blade at him, held the gun and fired at Lyle, rendering him dead instantly, ultimately allowing Merritt to be rescued from the chamber and start her rehabilitation. When it came to Ailsa, she ended up turning the weapon on herself when she was cornered by the police and ending things instead of facing jail time. When it cut to 3 months later, Carl had taken some time off and Merritt had been able to thank everybody for rescuing her, other than Carl. What was interesting was that Merritt actually bumped into Carl when she got out of the elevator. She obviously didn't recognize him, but he didn't stop her or call her back. This shone a light on the type of person that Carl was, and that he was a good detective because he cared about solving the crimes. He wasn't necessarily seeking the recognition that came along with it. One of the last things we saw was Carl meeting with Lord Advocate Stephen Burns and essentially telling him that in order for his silence on his cooperation with Graham Finch during the trial, he wanted a new car, the budget for his department to actually be felt, and for Akram to be fast-tracked to a DI, which was all made possible for him. With Carl sitting down in Department Q during the ending, which we saw was named that because it was the shower quarters, he opened up a box to find a new cold case. And I feel here it definitely hinted that a season 2 could well be on the horizon, as this show could genuinely go anywhere. Who shot Carl Mork in the opening scene? This opening scene of the show was one which truly immersed us into the world of Dept Q, but it was a case that was left unsolved when the season resolved. The death of Archie Allen and PC Anderson, along with the speculation over why Hardy and Carl were left alive, is the main unresolved part of the show. All we got to was that PC Anderson could have been involved in some form of crime by the end, which could have originally meant that PC Anderson was the original target of the killing due to his involvement in the crime network. It was said that Eugene Errington was in charge of the crime organization on Leith Park, and PC Anderson himself grew up there, so he could have been a corrupt cop that found himself in a bit of trouble and ultimately got on the wrong side of the wrong people. It was hinted that Charlie Bell could have been the getaway driver during the dream that Carl had, but that was the furthest it went. I'm hoping there will be some closure in the next season of the show with it, because I would like to truly know who was responsible, rather than just speculating. My review of the episode. I thought this was a great show. I was really looking forward to it because I feel like there hasn't really been a strong crime drama on Netflix for a while, but this one did surpass my expectations. It just had the vibe of being the Scottish Mindhunter in the way that they were in the basement and just digging through boxes of cases. The opening episode was probably my favourite one in the entirety of the show. I loved the fact that we saw 2 different timelines taking place at once, and we didn't realise that Merritt's story was 4 years in the past until it was revealed at the end when they opened up the cold case file and it was her. I thought that was a great twist, and I love it when shows do that. In terms of the performances, I thought they were all pretty strong. At first, Carl did annoy me, and his blasé, I don't care attitude was something that did frustrate me, and I thought would get very boring very quickly. But he soon grew on me, and I came to like him. I thought Akram was performed really well in the show too, and after Carl, he was probably my favourite. The scenes with Merritt were probably some of the nicest, but most haunting to look at. I thought it was extremely creative, and I loved the 4:3 aspect ratio that was used inside of the chamber. It added that element of claustrophobia and that trapped nature by making the shot a lot narrower and cutting off more of the surroundings. Some of the makeup on her as well was really strong because of the sheer blood that was covering her. The story in the show is one that genuinely does have you on the edge of your seat wanting to watch the next episode. There are so many twists and turns, and the reveals that happen are really well placed, so it lands at the right time. The ending also felt quite rewarding in the sense that with the main story, everything was wrapped up nicely and there were no stones left unturned, other than the crime in the opening scene that I think could carry through into the next season. One thing I would say is that the show could have probably just been maybe 1 or 2 episodes shorter. Some episodes were over an hour, and there were points where I was kinda just waiting for the point of some of the episodes to arrive, which it always did, but that's just a small issue that I thought was worth mentioning. If you've not watched the show yet, it's definitely worth a watch. It's a crime drama that I feel Netflix needed, so it's worth a binge this weekend for sure. So, there you have it, a review of Department Q and the ending explained. If you want to see more of your favourite TV series and movies being broken down, then check the playlist below. What did you think of this show? Share your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks for tuning into the video and I'll see you in the next one.